Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Didier Robert from the University of Strasbourg and Lorraine. And microplastic waste is an emerging global issue due to its environmental effect of accumulation in ecosystems, and due to its persistent nature and potential adverse effects on living organisms and human health. This is urgent to develop efficient method of microplastic treatment. In this context, I would like to present you challenge and opportunity for treatment processes and of nanoplastic in water. Sorry. The production of plastic started in the early 50s. The world then produced 2 million tons of plastic per year against around 400 million tons currently. Since 1950, we have produced 10 billion tons of plastic. For context, this is equivalent to the mass of 2/3 of the world population, more than 1 ton of plastic for every person live today. On this slide, the left chart shows the use of primary plastic by sector, and in the right chart we show this same sector in terms of lifetime of plastic use. Plastic waste generation is strongly influenced by primary plastic use, but also as the product lifetime. Packaging has very short in use in lifetime, and typically around 6 months or less. This is in contrast to building and construction, where plastic use has means a lifetime of 35 years. Packaging is therefore the dominant generator of plastic waste, responsible for almost half of the global total. What are the methods of plastic disposing after use? Currently, plastic waste can be recycled, incinerating, or discarded. In this chart, we see that the share of global plastic waste by disposal from 1980 to 2050. Prior to 1980, recycling and incineration plastic was negligible. 100% was therefore discarded. From 1980 for incineration and 1990 for recycling, the rates increased on average, but by about 1% per year. Currently, more than 0.5% of global plastic waste was discarded, and only 20% recycled. 30 million tons of plastic are recycled each year. However, between around 10 million tons of plastic end up in the ocean each year. This non-biodegradable plastic break up into microplastic smaller than 5 millimeters in size. And what is the origin of plastic pollution in the world ocean? Quantity of plastic waste floating at the surface within each of the world's ocean of marine basin. This is measured in terms of the mass of particles ranging from small nanoplastic to macroplastic. It includes only plastic within surface water and not at the depth or on the seafloor. Plastic in your ocean can rise from both land-based or marine source. Plastic pollution from marine source refer to the pollution caused by fishing fleet that leave behind fishing nets, line, and ropes. Land-based pollution come mainly from a river, as you can see from example from Asia. River Yangtze, the top polluting river, had an input of approximately 400,000 tons each year. if current trends in the management and production of plastic continue, 12 billion tons of plastic waste will accumulate on the Earth's surface by 2050, and most of which in the ocean. What is the origin of macro and nanoplastic pollution in surface water? As we can see on this scale, microplastic are plastic materials smaller than 5 millimeter, and nanoplastic 100 nanometer in diameter. Micro and nanoplastic can be classified into primary and secondary plastic. Primary microplastic are plastics that are manufactured to be of microscopic size. It can be found in many cosmetic products, for example, under the form of microbeads as facial scrubbers, or via the fragmentation of synthetic clothes during washing. Transport of this primary microplastic occur via landfill, leach sheets, or wastewater treatment plant effluents connected to surface water running into the sea. Secondary microplastic are formed from the breakdown of larger plastic pieces via exposure to sunlight, wind, water, and other environmental stressors. And this secondary microplastic converge via ocean currents in the famous ocean gyre and form a veritable soup of plastic waste assimilate to continents of waste. What are the impact of plastic on wildlife? Impact of microplastic on wildlife are very narrow. For marine animals, mistake the pieces of plastic for foods and swallow them. They pass through their digestive system and can cause abrasion, abscesses, and obstruction, which ultimately cause them death. For example, biologists consider half of sea turtle have pieces of plastic in their stomach. However, the impact of micro and nanoplastic are more difficult to access and is a relatively new research area. Microplastic that are ingested can block the gastrointestinal tract of small birds and fish, and can also cause physical damage internally, such as laceration of or irritation to a sensitive gastrointestinal tissue. What are the impact of microplastic on human health? In fact, little is now about the effect of microplastic in human health. Exposure may occur by ingestion, inhalation, and dermal contact due to the presence of micro and nanoplastic in products, food, and air. In all biological systems, microplastic exposure may cause particle toxicity with oxidative stress, inflammatory lesion, and increased uptake or translocation. The inability of the immune system to remove synthetic particle may lead to chronic inflammation and increased risk of neoplasia. As you can see on this figure, the access of a human biological system is very dependent to the size of the plastic particle. For example, nanoplastic can reach the placenta and the brain. So the second part of my presentation will be devoted to the degradation of microplastic and nanoplastic by advanced oxidation processes, and more especially heterogeneous photocatalysis. Advanced oxidation processes are a set of efficient methods to remove organic contamination not degradable by means of biological processes. These AOPs are processes involve the production of very active oxygen species, especially OH radical and other radicals, These radicals are able to destroy a wide range of organic compounds. Yes, as you can see on this table, OH radical has a stronger oxidation power than ordinary oxidant normally used in the oxidation process in water as chloride or hydrogen peroxide. Donc, this OH radical can decompose organic compounds into relative harmless compounds such as carbon dioxide, water, and mineral ions. And in this context, this heterogeneous photocatalysis seems appropriate to degrade micro and nanoplastic in water. The general principle of photocatalysis is the following. When titanium dioxide semiconductor is exposed to an UV light with a wavelength inferior to 400 nanometers, an electron hole pair is generated to the valence and the condition band. At the valence band, holes react with water and hydroxide ions to form hydroxyl radicals, and at the same time, at the condition band, the electron reacts with O2 to form a superoxide radical. The next step is the attack of pollutants by these radicals and holes to form intermediate and to give water, CO2, and ions. As you can see on this slide, the research on the photocatalytic degradation of microplastic in water is very recent and very little concern the plastic microparticle. The most used photocatalysts are TiO2 and zinc oxide to mainly degrade polyethylene and especially film polyethylene. Now, I would like to present you the first result obtained by my group in Strasbourg. The main objective of this work is to demonstrate the feasibility to degrade polymer nanobits in aqueous solution by heterogeneous photocatalysis with titanium dioxide supported on the SiC foam under UV irradiation. Our group has been developing since years several protocols to attach the photocatalyst onto the foam surface with a minimum release of the powdery catalyst during the test into aqueous solution. The photocatalytic tests were carried out on diluted suspension of synthetic PMMA and polystyrene nanobits with a concentration corresponding to approximately 12 milligrams of total organic carbon per liter. In fact, we follow the TOC concentration of nanoplastic suspension during the UVE irradiation time. The photocatalytic material is introduced in this reactor to make the photocatalytic test. The first preliminary results show that it is possible to oxidize PMMA nanobits and polystyrene in the presence of a photocatalyst. As you can see on this figure, the TOC evolution without irradiation are very low, while after 7 hours of UV radiation in the presence of TiO2 supported on foam, the half of the organic carbon contained in the PMMA nanobits is mineralized. The reaction follow zero-order reaction kinetics with a limitation by mass transfer. pH is one of the other parameters that affect particularly the surface of TiO2 photocatalyst. At 3 pH, of 6.3, we are under optimum condition for the photooxidation, because this is the point of zero charge of the TiO2. At basic pH, the surface of TiO2 is negative, and in this condition, there are a repulsion force between TiO2 and PMMA. As shown in this figure, the flow rate into the photoreactor influences the photocatalytic degradation, which means that an eternal transfer mutation occurs. In fact, the contact time of plastic nanobits with the catalyst surface is an important, very important factor. Light intensity of the lamp is very important because the amount of activated catalyst determines the water treatment capacity of our photoreactor. In your case, the photodegradation rate is directly proportional to the light intensity, because the light intensity is low. For a photocatalytic reaction at high light intensity, the reaction is found to be proportional to the square root of light intensity. In order to show that the photocatalytic process can be effective for polymer with different molecular structure, we have applied it for the removal of PMMA, polyester polymer, and polystyrene nanobits of two different average size for polystyrene. As it can be observed in this figure, for a similar particle size, PMMA mineralization appears to be faster. This is probably due to the carbon-oxygen bonds, which are more breakable than the carbon-carbon and carbon-hydrogen bonds of polystyrene. So, in order to complete our result, we follow the photocatalytic degradation of the polystyrene nanobits for a long time, each here for 4 days. After 4 days of irradiation, we had a mineralization rate of 80% in the black. And the change in pH in red during the irradiation confirm the formation of a small acid molecule as oxidation byproducts. Transmission electron microscopy analysis of polystyrene nanoparticle during the photodegradation show a loss of the nanobits structure after 10 hours of photooxidation, as well as the formation of destabilized polymeric film after 4 days of irradiation. And to finish, we also determine the degradation byproduct of polystyrene nanobits by pyrolysis gas chromatography mass spectrometry, PGC-MS at low temperature. Different molecules have been identified during the photodegradation processes. For example, little acid as acetic acid and benzoic acid, and as well as aromatic compounds such as benzophenone, benzaldehyde, and methoxymethylbenzene. The same molecules were found during the photooxidation of polystyrene film, but in air and under UV irradiation. The author have proposed this photodegradation mechanism, which should be close to the photocatalytic degradation of our polystyrene nanobits. To conclude, the removal of micro and nanoplastic from water is an emerging field of research that is rapidly evolving. Even if most of the previous works focus on the elimination of microplastic from water by separation processes, destruction processes will be preferred in the future, but only if the scientific community improve their efficiency. In this context, we have shown that advanced oxidation processes and especially heterogeneous photocatalysis with titanium dioxide-based materials could be effective for the nanoplastic mineralization. Thank you for your attention.